Shabbat Shalom. My name is Maxim Delchev and I'm working as Director of Jewish Education for the Jewish community in Bulgaria. I'm very honored to share some thoughts on this with all of you. We just started last week the reading of Book of Dvarim, the last book of the Torah, most of which is the final speech of Moshe, his reminder of the commandments that people need to focus while getting into the land of Israel. So this week in Parshat Va'etchanan, it is not a surprise that we can find a repetition of the Ten Commandments, the most recognizable mitzvot in the whole Torah. I'm quite sure you all know it, I'm not going to go over it, but I find interesting what is at the end of those repetitions. What is Moshe telling right after he finished the last of the Ten Commandments? And he's saying, the Lord spoke those words, those and no more, to your whole congregation in the mountain, with a mighty voice out of the fire and the dense clouds. I'm trying to imagine that scene. I'm trying to imagine what that mighty voice looked like and why Moshe needs to say those and no more words. And what I usually do when I'm making it hard to understand something is to ask the people that are smarter than me. In that case, I asked Rashi, one of the greatest commentators, who, as always, is having an answer. And he's explaining us. It is characteristic of us, the human beings, that we're unable to utter all of our words in one breath. We must make pauses. And it's characteristically of God that this is not so. He's not like a human being. Therefore, he did not pause, and since he did not pause, he did not have to resume, for his voice is strong and goes on continuously. So according to Rashi, the whole thing about that Moshe is saying is just about physical abilities and strength. A normal person cannot read the whole Ten Commandments in one breath without a pause and with a strong voice, but for God that's kind of an easy task. Maybe that's right, but with all my respect to Rashi, I want to suggest another reading. Maybe while we're reading about giving us the commandments in one breath, Moshe is trying to explain us not about the physical abilities of God. Maybe he's speaking about all of the people standing there and experiencing that moment. That moment which is probably the most magnificent, the greatest thing those people or any other people in the world will ever experience. You can easily stop breathing while listening, watching, and experiencing what's happening around you. Maybe in one breath it's about all those people standing in awe, listening, and forgetting the simple thing every human being should do: breathe in and breathe out. But also, those Ten Commandments are not something new or unheard to that moment. Even in the Torah, some of them we already see in the Noahide laws. They include very logical things like do not kill, do not steal, or honor your parents. Yes, their presentation is magnificent, but the content is simple, logical, and even repetitive. Is it possible those simple things to make the people so excited that they can forget breathing? Yes, I think it's possible. Especially because those things are logical, simple, and repetitive. And I'm one of those people who always is expecting to hear something new, something inspiring, never heard of, never thought of. I want from the people that I meet, from my teacher, from my students, constantly to impress me inventing the next new great thing. I want to stand with my eyes wide open and shouting, wow, that's amazing. I've never heard about it. But sometimes I forgot that there are some simple logical rules that probably are very old and probably I'm not following them and I need to start to follow them. And I'm quite sure while speaking about myself, some of you can also agree on that. So what I want to suggest to you about this parasha is to take a deep breath and reread those Ten Commandments and spend some time reflecting on their simplicity and deepness in the same time. And try to do better at least on one of them, like calling your parents, which is what I'm about to do right after that video. Have a peaceful and amazing Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom.